capital city was one of the best cities in the world at that time. It had all kinds of facilities of a modern city, and that is how the description goes. And even though Hanuman destroyed that city, it is found that it had a lot of very good, beautifully uh, designed buildings and all kinds of facilities for uh, decent living. And more than that, we find that in the attitude of Ravana towards Sita, it is most of there are a lot of literary books that came up looking at Ravana from a different perspective. We find that he never exploited Sita, even though he abducted Sita. It was found that he never exploited her, he never ill-treated her, and it was a kind of very, very decent kind of behavior that we find in Ravana towards Sita. So it may be that means a lot of points lead us to think that Ravana, even though he is portrayed as an Asura, also showed several traits of decency, justice, and all that. So the portrayal of Asuras as evil creatures, as as a kind of race that never believed in justice, that never considered the values, noble values, etc. That is to a certain extent a kind of creation, or a kind of that means a production of a false knowledge. We would like to say. So I think there are a lot of things that goes into the development of the image of an asura, and this image to a great extent is constructed by the kind of dominant ideology of the time. I think the most often in history we find that this happens because it is the winners, it is the ruling class that creates, or that creates values or meanings, and that uh, provide the kind of meaning that everybody has to believe in. So meaning is most often created by the victorious groups or the ruling uh, powers. And here also that might have happened. So asuras are portrayed in a very bad light, mainly because of the fact that they lost the battle with the Devas. So it is naturally the Devas who created the meaning or the image of Asura as darker creatures, evil creatures, etc. So I think it is certainly important to go through the various possibilities of meanings, various that means ideas or possibilities that might have led to the creation of demons, or the kind of image that has been created of demons. It is true that we have a lot of um, places where Ravana is found as an idol, or the sculptures of Ravana are found. And one such place is, I think, that is uh, place in Maharashtra near Aurangabad. You find the cave, that is Ellora. In the Ellora cave, you find the Ravana's sculptures, the sculptures of Ravana, and it is not actually presented in any negative light. It is just as any other sculpture, it is also there, and not very, very negatively presented, a normal kind of being. And that is how it has been presented there. But we find that Ravana is actually presented as an evil demon, and he is burned in as part of Ram Leela, I think, in North India. In some of the celebrations, you find Ravana, his that is figure is created and it is burnt. And a lot of stories of similar nature can be found in different parts of the country as well as outside India. So we find that these demons or asuras are often given a kind of very negative light, maybe out of the kind of Cold War between the Devas and Asuras. At the same time, there were certain other kinds of creatures in folklore also. The kind of creatures in folklore, especially in Malabar, North Malabar, there are a lot of deities who are actually worshipped, and they appear to be somebody who has been ousted from the society. For example, Neeli is a deity. Actually, Neeli was a woman who was exploited by a lower caste woman, was exploited by an upper caste man, and she was killed in that process. And after her death, she became a deity and she is worshipped. Similar such deities are there. A lot of such deities are there in North Malabar, who actually were killed brutally by certain people, especially people belonging to the upper strata of the society. And after death, they were transformed into a deity. So such demonly figures are also there. They are not goddesses, but they are demons who are worshipped by the people. So we find that the topic and the papers, I have gone through some of the papers that is being presented here, the abstracts of those papers, and they are highly interesting. And I hope that the seminar or the webinar will certainly introduce a lot of new ideas about the particular area, and also will contribute a lot to explore more on this, because these ideas and experiences and practices are more prevalent in the Indian as well as South Asian region, rather than in Europe or in other parts of the world. Even though they have their own group of demons, we find that that means Indian and Asian kind of belief systems are somewhat different from theirs. I think more exploration in this area is extremely essential, and that will throw light on not only the cultural or the mythical background of our society, but also to a certain extent will help in understanding the past history as well. It has historical relevance as well. So I think the webinar will help in throwing light on some of the important aspects of Indian society and culture, and in that way it is extremely relevant. So I'm happy to be invited to this webinar, and I am happy to inaugurate this webinar on a very relevant topic, and I wish all success to the paper presenters as well as the participants. So thanks to the organizers once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the very encouraging and impressive inaugural speech. Thank you, sir. Now it is my pleasure to request Dr. Satyamurthy for his presidential address. Now over to you, Professor Satyamurthy.
Namaskar. Could you hear me, Preeta?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Namaskar. I'm extremely happy to associate myself with this webinar conference on demonology. Actually, you know, my association with Kerala is for a long time. Also, that is either as a director of archaeology or in Archaeological Survey of India, and also with the Kerala government. So it is a very happy occasion, especially to participate, and also I pay my compliments to the Provost Chancellor, that is Ajay Kumar, and also Preeta Nair, whom I know more than 3 decades, if I believe, since I was there in Kerala. So it is very, very happy occasion to recollect some of the things. Of course, the topic selected by them is terminology. Of course, it covers a very vast area. So if you see this entire universal history or art history or anything you see, that is, whenever the good thing comes, evil thing also this automatically keeps indeed. But how it was possible, especially in Indian context and Southeast Asian context, of course, where we got a very ancient text, that is either Vedas or any other ancient text which you are having. Even in Tamil, we have got a Tamil long literature of some Sangam Tamil literature, all other things. How it came that is into possible, how a section of the, the entire humanities that is went towards whatever we call it as Asura or Suras. Suras are common. Sura is a common term that is for all. So when the Suras that is violate and they become God, they go become Asuras. But anyways, the Vedic text is very common. Here and there we get Asuras himself came from Prajapati, or some stories come here and there, but very, very, very rare cases. But anyway, that is in later literature, of course, especially in what we call it in French literature, we get some anecdotes or stories. That is how the Suras became Asuras, and how what was the principle behind that is whether the motivations behind it, whether the ignorance behind it. These are the things which come in the later Upanishad literature. There is a story in the Upanishad which says that is Bhruguvalli, where the Gurvai Varunihi Varunam Pitar Mupasara Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti Tasmat Etatpavaja Annam Pranam Chaktiskotramiti. This story is like that. There is Bhrugu, a youth, a young fellow, was thinking that is the evil thought comes to him also, some now and then. And people see sometimes good people also turn into evil. How this thing changed and how it came to the society, he wanted to know. So that is, he went and asked his father Varuna, that is, his father is a great tapasvi. So he asked himself, Adhigi Bhagavam, what is the essence of this word? What is this righteousness of the word? How it is, it deviates. All these things I want to know, please. I am very, very much anxious to know. So the father told, that is simply he told, it's not very easy to make you to understand. It is to be contemplated on tapas and come. But anyway, I will give some examples of some a type of lead for you. So he saw Tagumbo Vacha, Yato Vacho, Nivartande, Aprapya Manasa Saka. This is the God, but Yato Va Imani Bhutani Jayante, Yena Jatani Jivanti, Yet Priyantabisam Visanti, Tad Vijiknadiswam. That is just thing. The world is made of only one entity. That is, as you know, the scientists also now agree, it's one entity. So that is what happens from where this world has come, where it is existing, where it will go. That is the essence of this entire world. But to make you to understand, I will tell you one understanding, one clue. That is Annam Brahmedi Bejanat. Anna Deva Kalu Imani Bhutani Jayante, Annena Jatani Jivanti. So Annam means food. First it is food. Without food, no creature can come. Even if amoeba or any other creature, they require some food. So food is this proper thing for the world, for the entire humanity, for entire entity in the world. So food is the things. So food is the essence of the world. So think like that. You just then contemplate. So at least food means not actually the food. Annamaya Sariram, Annamaya Kosam Idam Sariram. This food, this body is made of food. So even the jiva is there, this jiva can exist there only when the body is there. So the body is the essence, or that is the Brahman, that is the God. So immediately there is some group of people thought the body is the God. Body is, even though it is perishable, they left it and they thought it is the essence of the world. So they contemplated on it and they started worshipping the body, and also they came to the conclusions that bodily enjoyment is the final. Since the body is the essence of the world, not is the Brahman, it is the God. So they thought. So this, for them, only this, the God or the essence is only the body. So there is from them, stop thinking over other things. That is how the body can be the final thing, because body is perishable. Then this Bhrigu thought, it cannot be. Again, he asked his father. See, his father told there is a way to do. Then he chose Manas. Without Manas, the steps goes in the story. But this is the first step to show you that how there was a deviation took place. So when the body becomes, the Asura Guna came. When the body becomes ultimate, then the Asura Gunas came. So from Suras, they become Asuras. This is the reason why even in, you go Tirukrima Avatara, that is the only avatars that is among the Vishnu, among the Dasavataras. It is mentioned in the Vedas. Others come in the Purana and later text in Ityasas. But this is the only that is mentioned in the Vedic text in Rig Veda and also Yajurveda. So there, you know the story of this Mahaveli. It's very popular in Kerala. That is Mahabali. That is when he performed the yajna. That is Vishnu came and he wanted to subside him because even though he belongs to the popular country and he was doing a good thing to the country, but he was showing egoistic. He was that is what we call Asura Guna. That is what I told. Thinking that everything is final, the body is final, Asura Guna was there. So he wanted to subside it. So he came and he measured this entire universe into 3 feet. That is Idam Vishnu Vichakrame Treyadhanidate Padam Sabhudamasya Pagam Sure. He measured the entire universe into 3 foot. Why? To protect this or preserve, protect the Suras. The Idam Vishnu Vichakrame Treyadhanidate Padam. He measured the entire thing in the 3 feet. Why? Pagam Sure. Idam Vishnu Vichakrame Treyadhanidate Pagam Sure. Because he wanted to protect the Suras. That is from Asuras. That is the text in the Vedic text. This is the only thing. So it became, that is even from Asuras, Suras are protected by Vishnu. That is Vishnu is the protector because he is the creator and also the protector. So now the interesting aspect of this Sura Asura Guna, or even Asuras, creation of Asuras, even Ajay Kumar has well said how they came. This introduction was very, very good for all the followers. Yes, even a short time, discover the vast area. So now what said, even the world is there. You are in the world where the Surya is there. Surya, we know this, we are in the solar system. So the Veda says, Asatyena Rajasa Vartamano Nivesayan Amurdam Matyamcha Hiranyayena Samitardena Devayati Bhuvana Vipasyane. This passage says, it comes in both Rig Veda and Yajurveda. The passage says the sun rises. As the sun rises, that is the entire universe is getting a new life. But the aspect of the sunrise is described in some other text in some other way also, because we know well scientifically, when the sun is rising, we get ultraviolet rays, rays come. They are also, that is observed by the ancient Indians, and they say, the ultraviolet rays which is affecting the humanity, which in one way or other, it is adversely, that is described, that is rather said as a Rakshasa. Of course, it is not a Rakshasa, but the bad effects have been mentioned as a Rakshasa. So, to protect this entire universe, or to save them from this, whatever you call it, either race or whatever you call it, but they said the people should observe or should perform a type of ritual by which the Ajnaya is a type of water is raised and it is offered with the Gayatri mantra to the god. They raise rather a wall of what you call water to protect the humanity. Of course, not all, but it is it will reduce this radiation. That is the principle behind this ritual, which is being performed even today. For the past, at least for 5,000 years, is being performed by all these the Orthodox people. They perform these rituals even today. This is to preserve or protect the peoples from the ultraviolet rays. But this has been personified in later literature, even in the later Vedic text, as a Rakshasa. So a Rakshasa is preventing Surya from rising or giving his full power. So this is personified. And they said that is Surya himself maintains a fleet of that is rishis to protect the entire world, who will offer this argya and preserve the world. This comes in even in the Vedic text. Of course, many Puranas also attest this. So this is a very important thing to understand, that what was a natural phenomena, what was also scientifically shown, has been personified as a Rakshasa, as it was against this, welfare of the humanity. Of course, it says so many things. You should not sleep during sunrise and sunset, because of this ultraviolet ray, the rays will directly affect the people who are sleeping. This may be the scientifically, I don't know how to prove it, but it is said like that in the Vedas and also in all our Shastra. I want to impress only that all these things have got a scientific base. So that is the thing. So we have got that Asuras are all created, or rather the Rakshasas are all personified form in one way or other, which are natural phenomena. This is the argya is offered even today. That is by Orthodox people. Of course, it goes throughout the Southeast Asian countries. Since we are finding that is this religion has gone even into the Southeast Asian countries deep, and there also all these people went and prevented this ultraviolet. Now, to understand what is very important aspect of this thing is, now this Vishnu is the protector. There is a protector of the world. So we should not think this, Jay Kumar has well said, that's the Rakshas are all evil, they're all always against this natural principles or dharma, not like that. Because in Indian concept, we just believe, that is not only beliefs, there are references to show that is the Asuras, there also the follower of Dhamma. That is the reason why there is even Mahabali allowed Vishnu to just to put his feet and just subside him. He promised 3 feet, but he should have told, no, I will not give. He didn't say. He said, yes, I have agreed to give. Yes, you put your feet and just measure me. That is the third foot was on Mahabali's head. So they were all rules, they were all following, there is a righteous nature of that is whatever is prescribed in the Shastras. This one such a thing is, there is even in early form itself, you can see, when there is Vishnu was in deep slumber. When even Vishnu was in deep slumber, we believe that is Anandasaya Murti. His deep slumber is there to create the world only, for which he creates his own energy. Then suddenly, since he was contemplating on his tapas, that is two beings, they are known as Asuras because of their quality. Because Vishnu was contemplating on good thing, the evil spirit has come out. That is which was gathered inside. That is which he has created itself inside when he was in slumber. So that is Madhu and Gaidaba, two Rakshasas came. So means they were all they're supposed to be these very ferocious people. They had started attacking the entire world, and they wanted to have the always this egoistic aspect, and they wanted to always rule. That's what they follow the law, they follow the dhamma, but they want to be superior to all. That is the only problem with that. So when they went, they started doing this, and they were destroying the entire world in one way or other. Then there is all the people went and requested Brahma. Oh, this happened, this is happening. Yeah, we don't know how to protect ourselves. He's rather overpowering all the devas, and they are. Then that is Brahma told it's very difficult to wake up Vishnu because he's in slumber. The slumber means he is in deep, that is tapas, so it is difficult. Then he said, that is, let us pray to Maya, and the Maya will go and wake up. So then they made a prayer to Maya, and Maya, that is, in being satisfied with the prayer, went and Vishnu woke up. This story comes in the very first chapter of this, that is Devi Bhagavata and Devi Mahatmya also. So when he went and that is Vishnu woke up, then all that is summoned and told, so oh, save us, this is happening here. Then Vishnu said, okay, that is, they were created from my body, so I have to, that is, fight with them. So he fought with them. Of course, according to Puranas, of later Puranas goes for so many years. So that is, he could not win both of them. At the same time, both of them could not overpower him also. So this both of them is very happy, though they got a personality who is fighting equal to us, rather more powerful than us. So they were very satisfied and very happy to see a personality that is who is very valorous and more powerful. So they said, that is the Vishnu, oh Vishnu, we are very much pleased with your power and also your Sakti, whatever you call it, but you are overpowering us now and then, but you could not win. But anyway, since we are satisfied with our actions, we will ask you only one thing, we will grant a boon to you. So that is, you take a boon from us. Then Vishnu immediately told, what boon I can ask with you both, except the only one boon, that you both should be killed by me. So, Vanchitoyam, this both of us, though we ourselves are trapped. That is, we said that we will offer a boon to him. And it so happened that Vishnu asked that we should be slain by him. We should be killed by him. So we cannot go. So they obey. So Vishnu, that is, with his chakra, he kills him. This is the story which comes. But here the important aspect is, that is, even though they are asuras, they follow these rules, the walk. Like I said, that we will give you a boon. So when they didn't say, no, this boon I cannot give, not like that. They gave they were killed. This is the very first chapter of the Devi Bhagavata. It shows there that is mode of, that is rather modulations or whatever you call it, is there how they obey the rule. Because we know that is their guru is very important. That is, who is their teacher. The teacher is always, you have to decide as disciple, seeing the teacher, then just we say everywhere. So the Acharya, who is their guru, is Sukra. Sukra is, now we give a very important position to Sukra in the Indian context, especially that is one day is dedicated to him. Shukravara, of course, it is throughout the world, but here we pray Shukra on this particular Friday. So all the Fridays, so it is dedicated to him. So, but he is not an ordinary person. Shukra is not an ordinary person who taught only evils to them. He taught always the great thing, but he wanted, that is, assure them to be their self, that is sufficient. Also, they have to take a self the decision. That was his advice to them. So he himself is prized. That is, he said he is not. Don't think all the doctors are very black or very ferocious to look like that. He himself is, there is praise. Hibagundam nalabam daityanam paramam gurum sarva sastra pravaktaram bhargavam panamamiham. His name is also Bhargava. It comes in the Vedas also. So what he says is, he is as white as Hima. Hima means there is a snow. So why? Sarva Shastra, he is not an ordinary person who was violating, was ignorantly that is making others to fight with the Devas or the good people. But the thing is, he is Sarva Shastra, but he is well versed in all the Shastras. And he is the guru for this, all the Asuras. That comes, of course, only if you see the Puranas, even in the later Vedic text also, that is only the Devas have to go to this Shukra and pray. That is, you give this, you give this. So that is even for churning the ocean. That is Shukra pray vital. In all the episodes, so with the Shukra's help only they could go. Sarva Shastra. One more thing is, generally there is our artists, that is artisans, develop this concept. Of course, how it comes to art means develop their innovations. They wanted to make the people or this common man to understand this, the evil spirit or these evil things which may come to them. So they developed this, what you call a type of innovations or imaginations and portrayed. Of course, these are all beings that are authenticated by the later Silpa text also. But anyway, that is the interesting aspect is this aspect has been depicted so nicely as the Ajit Marsul, even in Ravana, if you are seeing in Ellora or anywhere. It's a very auspicious place. Ellora, he is being that is the son of a Brahmin, but at the same time, his quality, of course, that made him to this. Of course, this reflects in almost all the sculptures which you are going to see for the next 2 days. When I have seen the abstract also, they are some of the very good papers. Throughout of course, we have to appreciate the Preeta Nair for making such a good assembly of the scholars who are going to, of course, if it is not a webinar, it will be more interesting for all of us. But anyways, it is going to be recorded, so we will be really benefited. But in the narratives only, of course, the artists have developed this quality of that is putting these asuras in a ferocious form. So the common man, the narratives were not made for the very elites or the who are Sastrajna, but it is for the common man to understand the evil spirits. So they developed this, that is in iconography. This is seen throughout the Southeast Asian countries. Of course, it is not only in the Vedic religion, it is in other religions also. Orthodox religions like Buddhism and Jainism also had some such type of characters, which they depicted in their sculptures, in their whatever you call it, in their art. That is, of course, we are going to see this, that is next 2 days. But now, that is even in Buddhism, Mara, Harita, or anything there, all this made. But to us, very important thing is, of course, in Tamil literature, as far as is concerned, one of the earliest work that is Thiruvalluvar in Tirukkural, which is one of the very, very, very precious literature for the entire world. It is recognized by the entire world. Of course, he says it is not only this Rakshasas outside, what you call is pay or anything, ghost or anything outside. It is inside itself. So he gives here and there some references about this ghost. That is one such thing is this Ulagattar Undu Enbadu Il Enban Vayatu Alagaya Vaikapadan. So he says, when the world is that is generally accepts a principle and also there is following some rules of laws. Somebody is transgressing it. That is, he should be the quality is the ghost quality. That he says in 2 or 3 things. Even if a man is having a wealth, it's without a distribution. Also a wealth that is with hot speeches. He is the wealth is as equivalent to that is as the wealth guarded by the ghost. So these are the things 2 or 3 places he mentions about the ghost, but he is not mentioning about the ghost that is in personified or this form. But he says that is a quality that is assumed by the human beings. So the ghostless quality, as ghostless bad element was known to Tamil people as far as 2000 years ago itself. It was well recorded in Thiruvallur. Thiruvallur's record means it is there is authenticated, and it says so. One things, of course, I need not elaborate things, but it is a thing. Generally, I had given very few concepts. Of course, if you go deep into this Rakshasas concept, the Vedic concept also, in letters, Puranic concept, and Itihasa concept also. Itihasa also says same thing. That is when Rama was asked to rise in the morning to perform this, that is Suprabhada the rituals. That is for the humanity. Rising the water to a high level, that is Argya, is given just for the welfare of the humanity. This is what I saw, the personified Rakshasa is being vanquished. Of course, I didn't go deep into this. There are so many ramifications in the same story, but I didn't go into this. But it is very interesting aspect for the Indians, especially the Southeast Asians, where this art has gone. That is, we are going to listen to this. I'm very happy to associate with myself, and thanks Preeta Nair and the University of Kerala and Department of Archaeology, and also Ajay Kumar, that's the professors of this university. All of you, but since the time is over, I close here. I will be observing whatever you want. There is a participant also. Thank you, Dr. Preeta Nair, and all of you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir, for very beautifully presenting or rather giving insight into the Suras and Asuras with the Sanskrit slogas, explaining Sanskrit slogas. Thank you very much once again, sir. And I hope that you will be here, along with us for the sessions, the academic sessions. Thank you, sir. Now I invite my colleague, Dr. Abhayan, to express vote of thanks.
A very good morning to all of you. It's a very proud moment for us to reaching towards the end of this inaugural ceremony of this webinar. And this webinar, like previous webinars that we conducted in our department, this is not going to be end in 4 days. Actually, it will go on further, and that means it's going to have some proceeding publication as well. That means this is not just a virtual event that goes away after this, and this is going to be there in the history, and it will be there in print and online version as proceedings, obviously as an edited book. And the whole credit for doing this goes to Dr. Preeta Nair, who is the lead organizer of this event. And my duty is to convey a vote of thanks. Let me begin with that. First of all, I would like to place our gratitude to Professor P.P. Ajay Kumar for kindly inaugurating this event and giving a very relevant speech on that, on specific aspects of demonology. And next to that, I would like to place our sincere gratitude to Dr. T. Satyamurthy for giving a presidential address and a very scholarly address as a president. And we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to Professor Mohanan Kundumal and Professor K.S. Anil Kumar, Vice Chancellor of our university and Registrar of the university, respectively, for giving us all the support for organizing these kind of events. And it's only a formality to place our vote of thanks to Dr. Preeta Nair, Dr. Rajesh S.V., Dr. Sheena V.R., and Ranjesh Lal, all our department's fraternity. And in addition to that, this online platform and this whole facilitation is offered by our researchers team, Mohsit, Abhijit, Ajit, and many others in the team. And their effort is invaluable, and they are looking after these online sessions and also they are doing this recording part and afterwards they edit the videos and they do a lot of work behind these scenes. And also, I would like to express our gratitude to our administrative staff, Divya, Vijay Kumarji, Nino, and all the researchers, research assistants, and MA students of our department. And I would like to specially thank planning wing of the University of Kerala for granting funds for conducting this kind of webinar and further publication of these proceedings. And finally, I would like to acknowledge, and I would like to place our vote of thanks to all the presenters and participants for becoming part of this event. And especially, I would like to mention about the foreign scholars, because their effort is invaluable, because of they all are part of this, irrespective of the time differences in their countries, and we are all very much thankful to them. And once again, I place a vote of thanks on behalf of the Department of Archaeology, University of Kerala, for this event. Thank you all.
With the vote of thanks from Dr. Abhay, the inaugural session comes to a close. Now we shall start the academic session. Today, in the first session, in the morning session, we have 3 presentations. The speakers of this morning session are Dr. R.K.K. Rajarajan, Sri R. Gopu, and Sri Nageshwar Rao. In the evening session, we have got 2 presentations. One is by a foreign scholar, Sandhya Khanal, and in the first session, the second session, first presentation was supposed to be given by Dr. Vinay Kumar, but he has got some problems, so that instead of Dr. Vinay Kumar, Dr. Sheena will be presenting the first paper in the afternoon session. Now to the morning session, academic session. As I mentioned earlier, the first presenter is Dr. R.K.K. Rajarajan. Let me introduce Dr. R.K.K. Rajarajan. Dr. R.K.K. Rajarajan is the faculty member of Fine Arts, the Gandhigram Rural Institute of Tamil Nadu. Before joining Gandhigram Rural Institute, he worked as Associate Professor in Visual Studies at School of Arts and Aesthetics, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, and in the Eritrean Institute of Technology, Asmara. He was an Alexander-born Humboldt postdoctoral fellow. He is a prolific contributor to the international journals and published works from Netherlands, Helsinki, Rome, Naples, Berlin, Bangladesh, and several more in India. He has made excellent presentations in both national and international arenas. Some of his known published works are Samapti Suprabhadam, Reflections on South Indian Bhakti Traditions in Literature and Art, Masterpieces of Indian Literature and Art, Tears of Kannagi, Annals and Iconology of the Chilapadikaram, Rocket Model Shrines in Early Medieval Indian Art, Art of Vijayanagara Nayakas, Architecture and Iconography, these are in 2 volumes, and Meenakshi Sundaresha Tiruvalayadar Puranam in Letters, Design and Art. Now over to you, Dr. R.K.K. Rajarajan.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Let me hold it by. Good morning to all. Is my screen legible?
Yes, we can see your screen, but not in the full, full screen mode.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, now, no, it has not come up.
Okay, yeah. Good morning to all, and it gives me a lot of pleasure to be here with you all, especially on this particular conference on terminology. And first of all, I have to thank Professor Preetha Nair for giving me a chance to present my paper in here in this particular conference. And especially, I'm very happy to listen to Professor Ajay Kumar and Dr. Shati Murthy, because when I was listening to Professor Shati Murthy, he has did some of my what I want to present in my paper. He has reflected some points on that, because particularly to say about the demons are not outside; they are inside us. So, in my particularly in this lecture, I've been speaking about this to Preetha Nair, and in a short chat, and I told her about the particular idea about Karikal Ammayar. Then after, while working on the Karikal Ammayar, it happened to me that I was able to recall the particular Namavali of Shiva, that is Kuratpu the Chelvam. That is Kuratpu the Chelvam. Let me define. So my title is Dance of Kuratpu the Chelvam. My Appan Shivanataraja as versified in the hymns of Karikal Ammayar. So here is my title, to say like there are infinite number of Buddhas and Ganas as they constitute the wealth of Shiva. The term Kuratpu the Chelvam means this is it. So that's why I call that, particularly when Shiva dances, his wealth is not about like that of Lord Vishnu, about the wealth, real wealth, but it is about the Ganas and the Buddhas, what he won. That becomes his main wealth. Here, I wanted to particularly put one thing here to say like Virataneshwara is one of the Ashtaviratanams in the Tonde region. Here you can see the particular bronze of Nadaraja with the Nalvar, that is to say like Manikavasagar, Sambandar, Sundarar and Navukarasar with Ammayar is present in this particular thing. Usually Ammayar is not kept in a line with the mover. Usually she stands aside the main Nadaraja image. Here, especially I want to emphasize one particular thing here, that is to say like in the cult of Nadaraja has, from literature, we can start it from very early period onwards, from the Tamil literature, but in particularity with that of the Bhakti period, it becomes a very important theme, not only in literature, but also in the visual implication. To say, that is the cult, the Nayan Mas, that is the Shaiva Nayan Mas, where the saints who propagated the cult of Shiva during the medieval period in South India were considered to be 63 in a popular idea, whereas Sekilar in his Tirutondra Puranam lists more than 70. Particularly when it is 63, we call as Arbattu Mover. Chundarar, one among the Thevaram trio, was the first to versify the account of their hagiology in Tirutondrathogai. Later, Nambiyandar Nambi, who recovered the forgotten Shaiva canon from the great temple at Chidambaram Thillai, prepared a much more elaborate version of the hagiology in his work Tirutundar Tiruvandadi, part of the 11th Tirumarai in 11th century. in 11th century. A detailed biography of the Nayanmar that was the work of the celebrated poet Sekilar, whose Tirutundar Puranam, also called as Periya Puranam, presents a comprehensive account. So, starting from to say like 9th to 12th century, the hagiology of this particular Shaiva Nayanmar has been thrice, especially to say like during the period of Sundara, then Nambiandar Nambi and Shekila, it has been clearly versified, and that comes to a complete identity. Atteva. Yeah. Before moving into this particular literary thing, I wanted to shed some light on the bronzes that are three important bronzes of Karikal Ammayar. The one in the Nielsen Ethnic Museum of Art at Kansas is very important in this perspective, because Vidya, starting from Vidya Degijia and especially to say like Indra Viswanathan Peterson, lot of people has worked on the particular bronzes and have given enough, shed much light on the bronzes to say like. Especially when we speak about the bronzes, I had a small problem when I've been going through all these images in particular. We can see that the all the major bronzes of Karaikal Ammayar has come out in into art form, especially during the 10th to 11th century, to say like particularly during the period by the period of Raja and Rajendra Chola. This particular bronze, in reality, from Anuradhapura Archaeological Museum from Sri Lanka, it's also dated to 11th century. But for at least some time during when the image was excavated, for some time it was not really identified as Ammayar, Karaikal Ammayar, but as Chamunda. I can understand the problem because at very early stage, the identity of Karaikal Ammayar bronzes was not that familiar, but now in a probable way, the bronzes, all these bronzes are comfortably identified as Karaikal Ammayar. In reality, to say about this particular bronze, it was identified as Chamunda because in the Yogini, that is in the 64 Yoginis, there is one particular yogini in the region of Orissa and Bangladesh, what is called as Dandura Devi. She has also much very similar iconographical feature of Karaikal Ammayar. So while writing the paper for publication, I think I need to check with all the literature and also with further visual forms of this particular Dandura Devi, what she has to do with that of Karaikal Ammayar, because for much time the identification of Karaikal Ammayar with that of Chamunda Dandura Devi should have been there must have been some publication. I need to check with them. And so here you can see that it is clearly titled as Chamunda. From the bronze is being dated to 11th century, but in reality, the bronze belongs to the Pullanurva period and from the Anuradhapura, and it can be comfortably dated to 11th century. That's in particularly, I wanted to make this point on the bronzes of Karaikal Ammayar. And one more from the Metropolitan Museum, that is also a very important bronze, and that's dated to 13th century. Among the 63, Karaikal Ammayar, that is the mother of the city of Karaikal, she is believed to be the earliest of all 63 and dated in the fag end of the 5th century. Her work in praise of Shiva Nadaraja is called Mutha Tirupadikam, that is the sacred decade, the elder. In Saivet tradition, that Ammayar was the first to inaugurate the stage of the Tamil lyrical hymnal composition. Her work consists of 143 that multiply into tens and thousands, during the millennia that her followers. Ammayya's works were included in the 11th Tirumarai. They were grouped under the following heads, that is Thiruvalangattu Mutha Tirupadigam, 22 hymns, and Thiru Irattai Manimalai, then Arpuda Thiruvandadi. That is to say, like Mutha Tirupadigam is 22 hymns, whereas Irattai Manimalai is 20 and Arpuda Thiruvandadi is 101 hymns. So, just before 10 days, I've been on my field work, and fortunately, I've been to Tengasi temple, especially to visit this particular temple for its Chitra Shabas. Because in case of Shiva, there are Panja Shabas. The last one is the Chitra Shaba, that is at Kuttalam. So in Tengasi, actually, I wanted to take a photograph of Karaikal Ammayar. That was my main concern too, because much of the images that I'm using, that either it has been taken up earlier or some 5-6 years back, or from museum collection I've been using. But particularly for this conference, I wanted to include a fresh image that I should take it now. So this was the image that I took it from the Kashi Vishwanatha temple at Tenkasi. So Karaikal Ammayar has makes one particular point, and she's very clear about it. That is, she wanted herself to be transformed from a charming maid to a pay. I just don't want to repeat the story of the whole Karaikal Ammayar, but her transformation is the main concern in here. So the transformation, what she expects from a charming maid to an old lady or a pay, to say like, was very well versified in one of her Mutha Tirupadigam, Kongai Tiringi Naram. Hello? Hello? Am I audible? Is there any disturbance?
Yes, you are audible. Yes,
Yeah.
you are audible.
Kongai Tiringi.
Sir, can you speak loudly, because we are not getting your voice properly? Can you please?
Yeah. Kongai Tiragi Naramulandu Gundukan Venbat Kuli Bayit Pangi Sivanda Parkal Nindu Paratuir Neer Kangalai Kalar Penbay Tangi Alari Ulargatil Tamil Tal Sade Yettu Tisayum Visi Ang Kulirtanal Adum Yengal Appan Idandiru Alangade. So this verse is very much important, that how Ammayar was wanted to transfer herself from particularly to a charming maid to a pay. That is, the translation goes as veins protruding breast, bulging eyes, white teeth, ravenous belly, red hair, long fangs, bony ankle with legs, the female gown, reside, howl and scream in the burning cremation forest, mated hair spinning around the eight direction, cooling the body of the heat. Dancing is my father who exists in the Thiruvalangadu. So this is how she herself, to say like, she clearly identifies herself, her transformation in one particular stanza. Okay. Now, Ammayar reached to say like, there is one particular context in her story that's very important, that Ammayar, when she wanted to go to see the Lord in Kailasha, she didn't walk on her legs, but she took the long way in through her head and walked through the hands. That is a particular thing about Ammayar. Ammayar reached the Vellimalai, that is the silver hill, the snow-capped Kailasha. Pleased with her devotion, Uma called her Ammaye, thou the mother. Shiva in turn asked her what she wanted. The reply was that she should always be at the foot when he presents the unearthly dance. That is to say, like in Periya Puranam, it clearly says that Arava ni aadumbodu adiyinil irukka. That was the wish of Karaikal Ammayar. To translate, thou, the snake wielder. Arava is snake wielder. I should be at thy feet when you dance. So this is one particular image that we get it from a High Chola image from Egmo Museum. Here you can see that how Karaikal Ammayar walked through her hands to reach the hilltop of the Kailasha. And especially the portraiture of Ammayar during the High Chola period, it becomes a very predominant one, especially starting from Rajaraja, and then after you can see that slowly the image of Karaikal Ammayar being accommodated in almost all the Nadraja images that that are on the Devakosta, and especially some are very beautiful. That we can see that particularly in reality during the early Chola period, we don't find neither the Jwarakeshwara nor the Ammayar being present at the feet of Shiva Nadraja. It would be usually plain in context, but during the High Chola period, the image gets a prominent place. So here we see that Ammayar being placed on the left side, the Nataraja image, and on the other side we can see the three-legged Jwarakeshwara is dancing. So, particularly, I wanted to raise one particular issue in here, especially about the wood carvings, that is the temple car images. It's very much important for one particular understanding, because how the in the present context, that what are the problems we get while reading the that is the images from the Ter, that is temple car. So this particular image is from Tantondishwaram temple, Tirunavalu, that is on the South Pennar basin. It is supposed to be the birthplace of Sundara. Especially there are particularly the temple is considered to be one of the Paral Petra Salam also. And here you can see that there is a Uda Tandava image, and there is an image of Appattu. But in reality, the particular there has been repaired or rebuilt. In reality, I should call it rebuilt. So you can never see in a original temple car, especially with that of a Urdhva Tandavam image, immediately next to the Urdhva Tandavam, there would be a Shaiva Nayanmar image. That is not at all possible, because there is a set right of tradition in the temple car. So here, let me get into this point. In the next few slides, I'll be describing about the problem what we are facing while reading the images from the temple car. Particularly here, was Kuthan Adalvallan Nataraja a cult murti? That becomes one more question. During the time of Ammayar, the Kuthan temple at Chidambaram must have been at the incipient stage of its evolution. Ammayar offers unhinging clues to the Bhakti orientation of the Murti. She notes the garlands of the flowers that were presented at the feet of the Lord when chanting the Namavali of his glory. Namale, Eason Eason Punnadike Pumale Kundu Punaindana
मैं 12,000
Par.
में करता हूँ और आपके अकाउंट में और 1510 करता हूँ.
Sorry.
Then कौन अभी तक का सेटल हो जाएगा ना?
Hello.
Okay.
There seems to have prevailed a reaction against the cult of the dancer. That is to say, Ammaya says, Ivarai Poloru Ivarai Porulunara Matar Ellam Irai Ivarai Igalvade Kandir Ivar Tamadu Pugalkola Meni Podipusi Yen Panindana Pekolam Kandar Pirar. Those who do not understand the philosophy of Ivar, him the dancer, talk ill of him. You see, he has the whole holy ashes smeared all over his flowering body, which is envisioned. So here you can see that this is the particular thing that this particular quotation only I recalled when Professor Satyamurthy was speaking about that whoever do not understand the philosophy of the dance of Shiva, it is to say like the demon is not outside, but it is inside. Especially in the good example would be the story of Daksha. So here now I'm getting back to the problem of the temple car images. Here you can see that this particular arrangement. So the first and the last image are newly carved one, and the middle three are old one. So this is not in reality. I can give you a beautiful example that the representation is not in this order at all, because if the first one is going to be Nandi and the fourth one cannot be Nandi. So at present, in the name of conservation or in the name of repair, what we are doing to the heritage monuments would need to be reconsidered. So let me finish this particular Thair problem and get back to the literature again. So this particular image is from the Taruka Vaneshwara temple at Parayathurai from Tiruchi district. So when it is a Urdhva Tandavam image, the image gets the middle place in the temple car. So at the side, either at the first one would be the Nandi, and then can be Brahma and Vishnu, and then can Devi also get a place. Or here in particularity, this here we see that Nandi, Shadashiva, then comes the Urdhva Tandavam, accompanied by Vyagarapada and Patanjali. They are very clearly carved, and then the fourth one comes the Brahma, and the fifth one is the Vishnu playing the flute. So this arrangement, you can see that I wanted to make a point on this particular Thair also. This particular there is not in use for at least past 15 years. Yet they have not repaired, and the images are very well protected, and it's just on the roadside between Trichy and Karur. So in the name of conservation and repair, what we do with that of the temple cars is to say like that becomes really a complication while reading the literature and trying to follow with that of the cultural alignment. It creates a lot of problem. So rather than at least we have to make a point with whomsoever it be that before they repair or reconstruct anything, that they have to make a complete photo documentation and leave it with the temple authorities. So that would serve the purpose how the alignment was of the iconographical forms of any deity was there before 100 to 200 years. This gives us enough idea to read the images with that of the in the literature background. That's my particular point in here. So here, when it is a Bhurdava Tandavam, we get such a lineup. When it is a simple Ananda Tandavam image, that is casually done with that of the temple car. Here we get the arrangement in this case. You can see that Dakshinamurti, Shiva, then comes Nataraja, and the Skanda, Murugan images are in here. This also is from Tiruparayatthurai only. Here, why I am making this particular point on this particular Tiruparayatthurai in the sense means we get a very beautiful image of Mohini and Shiva and Mohini making love. That is the most important point in here. These two images are at a corner facing each other. That is, that you can see that at the corner there is a cut, and one image is on the one side and the next one each facing each other. So the first one is Mohini seducing the Bashamashura. We can see that Mohini enchantingly standing there, and Bashamashura keeping his all his dance performance are shown, and finally he touches his with his own hand on the head and he burns down into ashes. So that is the first one of the first image. And the second image, after the end of Bashamashura, you can see that Shiva becomes very much fond of Mohini's, Vishnu's Mohini form, and he gets closer to her. Shiva and Mohini, that is Mohini Vishnu, are in alliance, and so you can that Shiva ejaculates his sperm. So the sperm being received by Vishnu as Mohini, in the hand itself there is a baby-like thing, what we call we can clearly call this particular thing as delivery of Shasta. That is, particularly through Tamil literature, we get the term Kai Annan, the one who was born in the hand. So, particularly for such a thing, that's what I'm emphasizing in here, that please do not disturb the images in temple car. That makes us a really lot of complication, because today we see many temple cars are being protected in the museums. That's well and good. But for some sake, if they try to disturb the lineup of the images, that such identity would be very difficult for us to read through differently. Okay, now getting back to my lecture, the literary problem. It might reveal the fact that the gruesome setting of Arangam stage, the retinue that follow him, example, the snake and the animals, were not acceptable group of the cultist. And there seems to have prevailed a reaction against his cult. This may be the reason why the cultists Ammayar and Tirumular were dedicated to propagate the cult of Puthan, Adalvallan, or Nataraja. Such occurrence could have been common at the budding stage of the history of the Bhakti-oriented Saivism, it may categorically be added that the bhakti of Ammayar revolves around the Virat personality of the cosmic dancer. So, if at all you are able to follow this iconographical, the iconographical formulation of the Navalur and that of Tiruparaya Thurai, it makes a very clear juncture to us that the alignment of the images becomes very much important, especially to read through the literature and follow it from the sculpture. And yeah, I just wanted to make one particular point in here, that is to say, like, we cannot take it for granted that all the bronzes that are available in the major Shaiva temples are not during the period of the Cholas. Especially during the Vijayanagara Nayaka period, it was a customary in big Shiva temples to station the images of the 63 plus signs on the southern wall section of one of the pragaras, which invariably accommodate the three women signs, Ammayar, Mangayar Karasi, and occasionally Tilagavadiyar, the sister of Navukarasar. This particular one is from Muneshwaram temple, Sri Lanka. Some few years back, I went to Sri Lanka for a conference. And by that time, I was amazed to see the images of a complete set of Nayanmar images from Muneshwaran temple. And it has a lot of beautiful iconographical images from Hinduism, and particularly on Kannagi also, there are some images. So Karikal Ammayar, the presence of Karikal Ammayar in Sri Lanka, I just wanted to recall the particular image from the Pulanurva that earlier we have discussed. In reality, this set of images, it could not be more than 10-20 years earlier. So it should be a new set of images, but there is a set of bronze and also stone images from Muneshwaram temple. And this the Lalkudi temple from Trichy, Satta Rishishvara. Here, I just wanted to show you one particular identity. You can see that the three women saints, that is, to say like Ammayar, Mangayar Karasi, and Tilagavadiyar. They are here very particularly. We can the second row, the fifth image, and the last one. The last but one row, we see that the checked sari images. So three women signs are clearly being portrayed, and this particular Lalgudi bronze is also not very old one. That is clearly a contemporary one, because when the image was installed, I got a photo by that time, and it was some time back. I went there and I took another photo of this particular set of bronzes. So when the images arrived, the photo was sent to me by a friend of mine. Here, the three women signs, one Ammayar is in green color sari, the other two are in red. So now, especially, I have framed my paper in such a way to say, especially, so what was the literature background, then the epithets that has been considered. Epithets in the sense means it's here I'm not taking the Sanskrit epithets, but the epithets that has been used that I have carved out from the Thevaram literature has been completely listed. We get around some 30-40 names for Shiva from Thevaram. Then the third title would be the Atam of Shiva, that is the dance of Shiva. Then his retinue, then the theater. I formed this whole paper in such a way, but here I'm not going to discuss all those things, but I just wanted to highlight particular things, that is especially about the how the Lord was so much close to that of the demonic or demonology. That becomes the main idea behind this paper. The dancer presents his recital at the most gruesome and terrific setting in the wild forest, wherein Kalis, coolies, and Pays roam about in search of the bali, that is food. That is, we get the term Pei, Kali, and Kuli in Mutha Thirupathikam. I've referred to the numbers of the literature, and do figure predominantly in these skins. The Pays are both masculine and feminine, as there is a clear note on Pen Pei, that there is a female gown. They formed a group and consisted of vanguard of Kali, who was followed by the army of girls, that is Pei Kanam Chula, that is army, that group of Ganams, the Pei Ganams, Chula, the Lord was going around. There are several types of Peis, such as Sirupei, that is the small gaul, Perangkarpe, and then Kollivai. So particularly I've used this image of Chamunda from the Bhubaneswar Museum from Orissa. This is very clearly and very closely related to the terms of Ammayar. That is why I have used this particular image in here. Ammayar presents a graphic description of the Pei in this particular verse, to say the female gown screams whose breasts are hanging and veins bulging. So here you can compare the, let me read the translation and you can compare it with the image. The female gown screams whose breasts are hanging and veins bulging. They have ball-like eyes, white teeth, pit-like belly, and locks of hair, red in color, teeth protruding, and elongated bony legs. So this particular verse fits to a image of Chamunda from Orissa region. Why, how all this, how this representation happens in the sense means to say, in reality, the description of Kali was fittingly compassed with the images of Kali and Kala on the Rakshasa gateway of Mahakuta and several others in the caves of Ellora, numbers especially 14, 16, 21, 22, and so on. Definitely, Karekal Ammayar is earlier than these plastic redactions. But how her ideas travel to distant land is the most enigmatic question. Well, if Shankara from Kaladi could travel as far as Kashmira and Kasi, why not the ideas of Ammayar to Mahakuta and Ellora? The fire-generating girls with lolling eyes present the Bacchanalian dances, snatch banning corpuses, and devour the same. So, to quote here, Sulalum Alvili Kollivai Pei Sulandu Tunai Kayoti Adi Tal Eriyum Pindadi Tandadi Tindran Kadu Katil. So the fire generating gouts with lolling eyes present the Bacchanalian dances, snatch burning corpuses, and devour the same. That is the translation for this particular quote of Ammayar. Not knowing the corpus is dead, a ghoul shouts and screams, pointing at it with the index finger, sheds lightning fire and dashes at it to knock it down while the other Peis run away. Ammayar beautifully adds, the Peis were either short, Syria, or tall, Nadir, and their abdomen emaciated. For a dramatic setting, the Peis in Indian art see the classical impression of the Hoysala art, a few of whom involved in sexual organ. So the earlier one, the Chamunda image, I took it from the Bhubaneswar region, and now we can compare the same image with that of the Hoysala art also. So there is a good connection when we read the literature and simultaneously read the sculpture. The depiction is very clearly following with that of the narration of Ammayar. I'm not saying that is the based on the literature the image was made, but in the content, the visualizing the image was based on the literature evidences that becomes even from the regional literature they could have taken it, and but it suits for the time when we read with that of the Ammayar literature. So chief among the retinue and the spectators of the dance of Shiva was Uma. Shiva danced to be seen by Malaimagal, that is the daughter of the hill, who was frightened by the sickness by which Lord willed the bodily movement. The Lalita Shakrashanama number would 232. That is a beautiful Namavali in Lalita Shakrashanama. That is here. I wanted to emphasize this particularly here. Maheshwara Mahakalpa Mahatandava Shakshini. That is the a whole term of the Lalita Shakrashanama 232. She is the witness of the great dance of Maheshwara when he performs it at a time within bracket the end, that is the Mahakalpa, after the dissolution of the cosmos. So that is in Sivananda Lakari would say that Shiva is like a dancing peacock. He is blue-throated. That is blue-throated to say like after he Nilakanta, to say blue-throated. The sky is his crescent. Serpents are his necklace. He is Sagala Abhakarana. As is in the peacock endowed with the palmage, he dances in joy, looking at the beautiful daughter of the mountain like a peacock that would dance on the arrival of the black cows, inviting the peahens. So this particular image is from the Chitra Mandapa of Kutralam. Here you could clearly see that the whole image, that is the portraiture of the Kanagashaba of Chidambaram being portrayed in the Chitra Shaba of Kutrala. Here you can see that both Vyagrapada and Patanjali standing nearby, and one side we see upper, on the next side you can see that Karaikal Ammayar being seated and Malaimagal being standing and wondering about the dance of Nataraja, and the other side you can see the whole retinue of the gods and the demigods being standing over, and both Surya and Chandra are present in this particular thing. So particularly this Chitra Mandapa has been reworked, and they have worked, yeah, I have to accept it. It has been reworked well. But yet I can see that there are some problems, but the conservation being done in a very good manner. That's very much important with that of the Kutralam Chitra Mandapa. And finally, the idioms are remarkably brought out in the rocket art of the Ellora in Cave 15 and of the Parangundram North Cave. Others in the cadre of the retinue were the wild animals that included Kurunari, Ori, that is Kurunari is the small jackal, and Ori the jackal, Nari, fox, Kaduwan, that is the male monkey, Sirukuhai, that is the small owl, woman, that is the large horned owl, and Kuhai, Kalugu, vulture. These are the animals and the birds that were around him. Andalai and Andai were also present in there, and Pangadai, a bird. All these things were around the dance of Shiva. These were notorious cannibals and devoured the corpses in the crematorium. It is graphically added that the jackal bites the white skull that was perished by a grass. The owl feeds on the brine and the flesh of the corpus. This is how the Ammayar narrates about the great dance and how what are the animals and the birds that were surrounding him becomes the major concern of her literature identity. And finally, to say, like, from the Silpacharya of the Elephanta and Ellora caves of the to the Nayaka temple at Madurai, you find a cardinal link that which perhaps is the Mangal Sut, that is the sacred thread, is the chart that binds the religious tradition from Kashmir in the north to Kanyakumari in the south, and of the immortal Bharatavarsha or Jambudvipa from Gandhara in the west to the Gauda Bengal or Kamarupa in Assam in the east. Therefore, I find a link between the Ammayar of the Shaivite lore to the Nayaka period art. It may be relevant in the context of the immortality of the Hindu heritage, especially to understand the dance of Shiva. And particularly, I have to make one point on the presence of Karaikal Ammayar in the Southeast Asian art, especially in the Cambodia and Angkor temples. We get at least 4 or 5 image representation of Karaikal Ammayar presence at the foot of Nataraja. This can be clearly understood that there was a direct link between during the period of Rajendra Chola, and exclusively these temples has been built particularly during this period, and so Ammayar present cannot be in reality challenged in case of the Southeast Asian art. But I have to accept one more thing also, that though for some reason it has to be seen not only as Ammayar, but also other regional implications were also added into this particular Ammayar depiction, but especially as the periodization becomes very important in here, 11th century. So in my case, I would I presume the image is none other than Karaikal Ammayar. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. R.K.K. Rajarajan, for giving a very interesting lecture and bringing forth some of the facts which are not known, actually very common, about the Karaikal Ammayar. Since we have just passed the time limit, shall we move on to the next presentation? If there are any questions, you can directly write to Professor Rajarajan. In the chat box, I will be giving the email address of Professor Rajarajan. Is it okay, Professor Rajarajan?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. That's my pleasure.
Okay. I'll be giving that email address of Professor Rajarajan in the chat box. So you can directly contact.
I request you kindly send his contact number also.
Yeah, sure. I'll be sending.
Really interestable one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will do that.
I'm just posting it, sir.
So we will be moving on to the, thank you once again, Dr. Rajarajan, for the very interesting lecture. Now we will move on to the next presentation. It is by R. Gopu. He will be presenting a paper on Jalandhara story in Pallava sculpture. Let me introduce Renkaratnam Gopu. He is a historian and member of Tamil Heritage Trust. He is a computer engineer turned heritage enthusiast. He regularly conducts site seminars at places like Mamallapuram, Ajanta, Ellora, Pudukkottai, Srirangam, Gujarat, Tirunelveli, and so many places. And he also conducts heritage yatras and tours to the places like Bihar, Orissa, Kaveri Belt, Belur, Halabit, Hampi, Karle, Bhaja, Amravati, etc. Mr. R. Gopu has been conducting workshops and lectures in science and history in association with Varahamihira Science Forum and Tamil Heritage Trust. It's with very much pleasure that I invite Rangaratnam Gopu to make his presentation. Now over to you, Mr. Rangaratnam Gopu. Sir, are you present there?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Yes. Hold on 1 second. I'll be here.
No problem.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Preeta Nair, for this opportunity to present at this forum. Thank you, Mr. Shivashankar Babu, for introducing me to this, to Dr. Preeta Nair a few years back, and allowing me to present on syncretism seminar a couple of years back. So now let me share screen. I'll start. Is it visible? Okay. So I'm going to talk about a somewhat unusual episode from the Shiva Purana and certain unusual sculptural depictions as seen in temples in Kanchipuram. So if you go to Kanchipuram, Kanchipuram can be described as the temple capital of India because there are more temples per person, per capita, than perhaps in any other place. I think only Bhubaneswar may come close. There are about 7 or 8 Pallava temples there, still in very original condition. They are built out of sandstone. And this is one of them. This is a temple called the Mrityunjayeshwara temple or Iravasthanam. And if you go to the side of this temple, you can see that the wall is replete with sculptures. The Dwarapalakas are the corner, there's a nice Makaratorana. There are some very familiar sculptures. There is a Gangadhara here with Shiva standing up and Ganga descending with Parvati watching. There is a Kala Samhara Murti here where it's the episode of the Markandeya and Shiva comes to the rescue of Markandeya. But there is a central sculpture here. And if you look at it, it seems to be Shiva in a yoga pose. This is Yoga Dakshina Murti, you may ask. But if that is Dakshina Murti, who is this person here? So this can be a bit of a puzzle. And if you go just across the street from this temple, there is another temple called Piravasthana or Punarbhaveshwara temple. And that temple is there in the distance, is also maintained by the ASI. And this is the temple close up. It's a very small temple, but you can see its walls also have some interesting sculptures. And if you look at this particular wall on the northern side, you see, of course, the Dwarapalakas, and you see a similar Shiva in a yoga pose, but there is a person underneath here, and Brahma and Vishnu are on the other 2 sides. So, who is this person? This is my contention that this is a depiction not of Shiva in yoga pose, but as Jalandhara Samhara. Now, the Jalandhara Samhara is not very well known to a lot of people. So let me explain this. It's very interesting that no Chola temple or later temple, Pandya temple, Vijayanagara era, you rarely see, I haven't seen any. I'm sure there must be some temple somewhere that has a Jalandhara sculpture, but I have not seen any in some of the about 70, 80 temples I visited. I have not seen any Jalandhara Samhara. To really understand this puzzle of Shiva in yoga pose, but saying it's a Samhara Murti, you have to look at some sculptures in the Kanchi Kailasanada temple. Kailasanada temple, as it's the name today, Original name is Rajasimha Pallaveshwara. That is the temple built by Rajasimha Pallava. The Kailasanatha temple has several episodes from the Jalandhara story in different parts of the temple, and some sculpture are also repeated in different slightly varying poses. We'll look at an overview of this. If you have not seen it, I urge you to go visit Kanchipuram just to see this temple. This is the Kanchi Kailasanatha temple. It's actually two Shiva temples. That one is the Kailasanatha, Rajasimha Pallaveshwara. The smaller one here is not the Gopuram. It is another Shiva temple. It's built by his son Mahendra Varmeshwara. And then there are several shrines inside, outside this temple. Mini shrines built by the queen, Rajasimha's queen Rangapataka. So just to give a quick introduction to the Kailasanatha temple, almost every inch of every wall is covered with sculptures here. I showed you this miniature shrines here. These are called Devakulikas. And there are 8 of these Devakulikas or mini shrines in front of the temple. And 56 Devakulikas, surrounding the temple on the inside, like a garland, like a malaka, like a mala or a malika. So this is what the temple looks like inside. And it is these shrines, couple of these shrines that we have to look for the Jalandhara story. This is the northern side of this is the northern side. But we go to the southern side. It's very interesting. In all the Devakulikas, all these mini shrines, you can see each one is a complete temple. It has 6 vargas. There is the Adhishtanam, the Padam, the pillars, Prastara, Griva, Shikara, all of that is there. And in each shrine, behind these pillars, there is a sculpture at the back of this, which are different episodes of different Puranic stories. Okay, and there's even small sculptures at the top, but we'll ignore them for now. So you can see this one is Narasimha and Hiranyakashipu. This one here is the one that interests us. This is Jalandhara birth. So 2 of the mini shrines in Kailasanatha on the inner corridor have depictions related to the Jalandhara episode. One is the birth of Jalandhara Sambhava, and the one is the death of Jalandhara, which is the Jalandhara Samadha. And here you may recognize the sculpture that is shown in the other 2 temples, Kanchipuram temples, Pallava temples, where Shiva is in yoga pose, and then there is a large person underneath, and so on. So, but first, before we come to this particular, let me look at because why is there usually Shiva's only a destruction of an asura is shown. Rarely is the birth of an asura shown. But it is a very detailed and complicated story. And for some reason, they have delighted in showing 2 different or 3 different versions of this. So we talk about the birth of Jalandhara. How was Jalandhara born? So the story is that once Indra, along with Brahma, Vishnu, and other devas, went to visit Shiva in Kailasa. But in the original story, it says only Indra and Brahma, and Shiva, to test their knowledge, stood in their path as an ascetic and wouldn't let them go. But in the Kailasanatha sculpture, you see that it is Shiva is shown as a Gana. So it is shown that the Ganas, Shiva Ganas, are standing outside his abode and will not let the Devas, including Brahma, Indra, Vishnu, all of them inside. They are making a lot of noise. When they are making a lot of noise, one more Gana joins the crowd. And as soon as this Gana joins them, the noise level, they all start making incredible noise and then refuse to let Indra inside. Very angrily, Indra, what happens? He lifts his thunderbolt, his Vajrayudha, and throws it at this Gana. Now you will see, this is Indra, this is Agni, this is Brahma, and this is Vishnu standing in the back. And this sculpture cannot be photographed in one shot because the pillars are hiding it. You can see the sculpture. The pillars hide it. You can't take a good shot of that sculpture. But you can see that, these devas have come to visit and the Ganas are on the other side. And so these Ganas are on this other side. These Ganas are all raging. And see, you can see the spilling over and trying to challenge all the devas here. Okay. But this is the new Gana. This is actually Shiva in disguise. You see, he's four-armed. No Gana is 4 arms. Second, he's seated on some lotus pedestal. So this Gana himself is special. He's seated on a lotus pedestal. And not knowing who it is, angry Indra takes his Vajrayudha and throws it. In this episode, it is shown that Agni and Brahma restrain him from doing it, saying, no, please be careful. You know what happened to Kamadeva when he tried this. Even for a flowery arrow, Shiva's third eye opened and he burnt, and that will happen to you. You hold him, but he apparently starts to hurl it. And the angry Shiva's third eye opens. Now, let me go back to the story. Infuriated Shiva opened his third eye, but Brahma, Vishnu, in this, you can see in this episode, this is Vishnu at the back is threatening, warning Indra with the finger. No, don't do that. Don't take your weapon. So this is the Vajrayuda that Indra is holding in his hand. So in this episode, it is shown that he has not yet cast his weapon. But in the actual Purana, it says that the weapon was launched. So Rudra opened his eye, and the opened eye of Rudra caused tremendous flame, and Brahma and others fell at his feet and asked for mercy not to destroy Indra. Then Shiva then asked, what should I do? Because my anger has already been released. So they asked that he let it out somewhere else, and so he lets his eye into the ocean. And into that ocean, when he casts his eye, it's very similar to the birth of Kartikeya, where the Agni enters, the Agni, Kartikeya is born out of the Agni of Shiva's eye, and then he is brought up by the Kritikas, and that is why he is called Kartikeya. In this case, he is born of the ocean, and that is depicted below. So in this, you can see that this Gana is depicted here above, seated on a lotus. This is supposed to be Shiva himself. And here in this lower part of this sculpture, you can see a person. This is Jalandhara. And you can see that the lotus sculpture has done something very interesting. He has integrated the leaves of the lotus and some water creepers to show that this is water. It's very difficult to depict water in a sculpture. So they have done that. They generally depict water with the lotuses and aquatic plants, even if it is seawater, just as it's a bhava. It's an expression of how to depict water in sculpture. And so this Asura, this person is born. And so since he is the essence of Shiva himself, he is a very powerful being. And there is enormous noise, and the rishis and all turn to Brahma and say, what happened? What is this enormous noise in the ocean? So Brahma goes to the Samudra and asks, and then the Samudra says, this at the confluence of the Ganga, this child was born. I don't know how this child is born. And Brahma, understanding what has happened, says, okay, he is the essence of Shiva. And the child immediately jumps up and grabs Brahma's neck and shakes him. And Brahma's eyes start watering. And Brahma says, since you made my eyes start watering, I will name you Jalandhara, and grants him a boon that he will be a very virtuous ruler. You see, a lot of these Asuras are actually, while they turn adharmic, they start off in a very dharmic fashion. So Vishnu, this Asura is actually the essence of Shiva himself. And he is blessed by Brahma as somebody who will have a virtuous life, rule virtuously, and will be married to a very beautiful and chaste wife. So that is the story. So that's the story here. And this Jalandhara, then he was a dharmic ruler for a long time. So in all these Asura stories, you have a rise and fall, like you have with Mahabali Chakravarti and so on. And then one day the story goes that Rahu comes to see him headless, and the Jalandhara asks him, why are you headless? And then he talks about the Kurma Avatara episode, that there is a churning of the ocean. So in the meanwhile, Jalandhara has married another Asura, Kalaneni's daughter. Her name is Vrinda, and she is extremely chaste, and she is a very devoted Vishnu Bhakta, like equivalent to Prahalada, Narada, and Dhruva. She is one of the greatest of Vishnu Bhaktas. And in the episodes later on, when Jalandhara goes out to war, she is always praying to Vishnu while the war is happening. And so, because of her prayers and her chastity, Jalandhara is always protected. Even Vishnu cannot defeat him. Even Shiva cannot defeat him. That is the power that Brahma's boon gave, because he is born of Shiva's essence, and because of his wife's chastity and bhakti, he becomes invincible. So we know in all these stories what happens. The invincible person becomes arrogant, and in one case, because this Rahu comes and complains to him, he gets angry. So sends a messenger to Indraloka and asks, why did you churn the ocean and take away all the gems from the ocean? So Indra gives him an explanation which is not satisfactory. So Jalandhara invades Indraloka and defeats Indra and the Devas. And so they ran in pity to Vishnu to help them. Vishnu says, I will battle him because you asked me to battle him. But he is invincible because he is the essence of Shiva and also because he is protected by Vrinda's bhakti. So Vishnu goes to battle him. Vishnu is also, they fight to a standstill, and Vishnu gives him a boon, and he says, "Come and reside in leave Vaikunta and come and live in my town, my city." The story is that this Jalandhar, today there is a city in Punjab called Jalandhar, and they say that is named after Jalandhara. That is the town of Jalandhar. So Vishnu leaves Vaikunta and goes to live in this place. In his city, actually it says Patala Loka, that city called, and then thanks to Vishnu's protection, he quickly defeats every other king and becomes lord of all the three worlds. Then he got so arrogant, he wanted to go and attack Shiva himself in Kailasa, and he boasted of his invincibility. And somebody said, not why Vrinda, even Parvati is very beautiful. Shiva is just an yoga, ascetic yoga, is the lord of the Smashana and all that. Why don't you try to acquire Parvati? And so he goes to Kailasa and boasts and says, I will take Parvati herself. And in this, the battle commences, and then Kartikeya, Ganesha, Veerabhadra all come to battle him. They are all defeated by Jalandhara. And so in this situation, when he comes to attack Parvati herself, in the meanwhile, he does some Maya and creates Gandharvas in the air. And seeing the Gandharvas play music, Shiva is subsumed by the Maya, and he starts dancing to the music of the Gandharvas. And then Jalandhara tries to conquer Parvati. Parvati then jumps, escapes, and calls Vishnu and asks Vishnu, can you not see, how can you still protect this person? Simply because his wife is a Vishnu Bhakta. Don't you see what kind of adharma he is doing? So Vishnu accepts, and Parvati is his sister and so on. So Vishnu accepts, and then Vishnu says, disguised as Jalandhara, he visits, not Jalandhara, but Vrinda. Sorry, there's a mistake. So disguised as Jalandhara himself, he visits Vrinda. When Jalandhara was in trying to challenge Shiva and doing all this battle in Kailas. So when that happens, Vrinda, Jalandhara's wife, gets up from her prayers and thinks her husband has come, and so abandons the prayer to greet her husband. And Jalandhara then lost the protection. Now Jalandhara continues to challenge Shiva, mocks him. At this point, an enraged Shiva then creates, with his toe, he creates a chakra. Some episodes say he draws it on the sand, some say he draws it on the ocean. But with his foot, with his toe, he draws a huge chakra and challenges Jalandhara. If you think you're invincible, try to lift this chakra. Now Jalandhara, convinced that he is invincible, lifts the chakra, but that chakra effectively kills him because he no longer has the protection of. He attempted to, went very adharmic, attempting to even conquer Parvati. And second, his wife has abandoned his prayer and her chastity is lost and so on. And so that protection is gone. So he is killed by this chakra. So if you look closely at this is Jalandhara lying down. This is a chakra. This is a chakra in Prayoga pose. It is actually in our, it's not facing us. It is cutting the neck of Jalandhara. And this sculpture is shown here with us. And Shiva doesn't have to do anything. He is only, he invites an Asura to cause his own destruction. And so that's what happens. So that's why he's shown as a yogic pose in the Samhara Murti, as in the Samhara episode. This is the slightly earlier episode where Shiva draws the chakra with his foot. He has lifted his leg and he is drawing the chakra with his toe. The sculpture is slightly damaged. You can see the face is damaged and all that. And in this episode, Brahma and Vishnu are shown in worshipping him. I think maybe Indra and Vishnu are shown in worship of him. And this chakra is the one that is in Shiva Purana is described as Sudarshana chakra. And later on, he gives this chakra as a present to Vishnu. So this is this Murti in this particular form is called Chakradana Murti. And so this episode is followed by the Samhara of Jalandhara. So that is the Jalandhara story. Now, if you see this, now this episode will raise. So we have named this episode, seminar Demonology, taking a Western, word. But in our stories, the Asuras, Rakshasas, they are supposed to be cousins of the Daityas. They are, supposed to be son of Diti and Aditi or Dhanavas, and they are supposed to be related to the Devas also. And they also pray to Vishnu, pray to Shiva, and so on. Now, a question can be asked: was Vishnu's action not against Dharma? Can he do this? It's very similar to what he did with the Indra and Ahalya episode. Now, then the return question will ask. We are only accustomed to questions like this in Mahabharata, right? When Karna asks, is this Dharma? And then Krishna says, was it Dharma when you molested, Draupadi, dragged her during the wrong time of the month to the Sabha and humiliated her? Or when you all, discarding all the norms of war, attacked Abhimanyu when he was weaponless and killed him? So that questions are asked. So the similar questions are asked here. Is it Dharma to use your wife's extreme chastity and Dharma to wreak Adharma and even seek the Lord's own consort, knowing that Eva and Shiva and Vishnu cannot defeat you? Is that fair? So then, in this case, is Vishnu's action then justified? Is it Dharma after all to defeat Adharma with at least the illusion of Adharma? But the story gets more complicated. The story says that Vrinda was appalled that Vishnu would take to deception. And so she curses Vishnu. She says, I sought refuge in you. I was your undevoted, unmitigated, unblemished devotee, and you have betrayed me. So you should also take avatara on earth and suffer the pain of separation from your spouse, because, it is your action that has caused me to become like this. And then so, like Sati, she immolates herself and becomes an essence of, or she merges. The story goes that she merges into Parvati. And so this is where the Ramayana episode of later Vishnu has to take a avatara as Rama. Not just we only hear of the Ravana story, but we have to hear this says that Vishnu was, because of the curse of Vrinda, he took form as Rama and was separated from his wife for a year and was, suffered all the pain of that separation and all that. So this is in brief the Jalandhara episode as shown in the some of the Pallava sculptures, but there are other sculptural depictions in the Kailasanatha temple itself. So I want to show two things because it is very deceptive. This is the fifth shrine of the outer shrine, the outer Devakulika built by the Queen Rangapatna, not the inner shrine, but the outer shrine. And you can see Brahma and Vishnu praying to a Murti here. And this is Shiva in yoga pose, and he has an Akshamala. Here he is only Dakshinamurti. He is not Jalandhara Samhara, and here the rishi seated below, the person seated below him is actually a rishi. The four of the rishis are supposed to receive their Sanakadi rishis are supposed to receive their shishya from the knowledge, jnana from Dakshinamurti, and that is this episode. But a very similar other sculpture is actually Shiva as Jalandhara Samhara. This is the fourth shrine, and here is Shiva seated here. And then this sculpture is extraordinarily damaged, but this I believe is the Jalandhara Samhara Murti, where he's shown destroying. In fact, there is a very large sculpture of Dakshinamurti on one of the walls. And this is the sculpture of Dakshinamurti on the walls. These are the rishis that you see receiving. He's in a Mauna pose as a Mauna Guru, and the rishis are receiving his knowledge, purely unspoken knowledge. And this is a very grand sculpture that you see of Dakshinamurti in Kailasanatha temple. This is on the southern face of the sanctum, not on the mini shrine, but on the main sanctum wall itself on the southern face. Opposite, on the northern side, usually there is Brahma, but in Kailasanatha temple, while Dakshinamurti is featured on this large sculpture here, Jalandhara Samhara Murti is shown in this southern wall. You can see, Surya and Chandra worshipping him. He is seated in this yoga pata, in the yoga pose, the yoga pata. And here is Jalandhara with his weapon. And here you can see that chakra really killing him. And his hand is in Vismaya. Finally, he gets, humbled by his own misdeed and adharma. the chakra is able to kill him because of his own arrogance and other big action. So this is shown there. It is very interesting how the sculptors have positioned these two sculptures. If you look at the temple from the top view, these are the inner shrines, the mala of the mini shrines here. This is the main sanctum. This is the southern wall and the northern wall, central part of the southern wall and the northern wall. And this Dakshinamurti that I just showed you in this previous picture is on the southern wall, and this Jalandhara Samhara is on the northern wall. So this red painted square is Dakshinamurti, and this blue painted square is Jalandhara Samhara. And opposite Dakshinamurti is not Shiva's Samhara Murti, and this here on the other side is not Shiva, but this one here is Brahma. So it is shown as Brahma worshipping Dakshinamurti here in this Devakulika on the other side, in the southern side. And in the northern side, you have Vishnu with Sridevi and Bhudevi worshipping Jalandhara Samhara, perhaps because he also receives the Sarshana Chakra. That is how this is depicted. When I showed you the outer shrines, this is the first and second shrine, outer shrine, third shrine, fourth shrine, and fifth shrine are here. So in this fourth and fifth shrine, you see the Yoga Dakshinamurti and the Jalandhara Samhara Murti. They are on the side walls, not on the back walls. So you can't even take pictures. You have to go. You can barely get into the gap between these two temples. There's barely 1 foot gap between these two. You have to try and take a picture. So which is what I have done. There is another irony here. Shiva, I told you that we don't have time to go into all of this, but the southern wall. So basically, in this temple, in the eastern and western mini shrines, Devakulikas, you have either Somaskanda or some king and so on. So all of them have Somaskanda murtis in the shrines, and kings and devis are between the shrines. In the southern Devakulikas, you almost entirely have what is Shiva's Samhara Murti, 1 or 2 with also Vishnu's Samhara Murti like Trivikrama and Narasimha and all that. And in the northern wall, you have Shiva as Anugraha Murti. He is not attacking anybody. He is blessing various people in various forms. And there is Kalyana Sundara Murti and Somaskanda, Manmada Anugraha and so on, Vishnu Anugraha and so on. So it's very interesting. But so the other Samhara Murti versions of Shiva are all shown in full ferocity. For example, this is Gaja Samhara Murti in the top left. You can see he's tearing the elephant apart. Full ferocity is there. Parvati is even scared. He's warning Parvati not to look, turn around and so on. This is Gaja Samhara Murti. This is Veerabhadra destroying Dakshayaga. You can see again he's in full ferocity here, using his weapon and attacking. This is not even an Asura. This is Brahma himself. This is Brahma's Chirascheda Murti. Shiva attacking Brahma and plucking one of his heads. Even here you can see he's attacking with his sword and in a Samhara Murti pose, in a battle pose. And this one is also a battle pose, though this is not a Samhara Murti. It is Kiratarjuniyam. It's a playful battle. Shiva teasingly tempts and toys with Arjuna. And Arjuna is very, very puzzled why he is unable to defeat a forest warrior, hunter, a Kirata. But that is that episode. Even this is shown as a battle pose. All these four are shown as battle pose. But the Jalandhara Samhara Murti, which is literally a Samhara, because it here is shown not a Shiva attacking Jalandhara, but in complete calm status, as he's doing yoga, and the Asura is destroyed by his own arrogance and the weapon he wields against himself. It's very interesting. You don't see this. You only see this in Pallava temples, and not in all of them. This particular episode. The Cholas and the Pandyas and then Vijayanagar, all these kings built a lot of temples all over Tamil Nadu. They converted some of the brick temples of that period into stone temples. And if you go to some temple like this, very large temple with lot of murtis, like this one is Gangekonda Sodapuram. You could go to the Tanjavur big temple, you could go to Dharasuram. You could see, I've been to several of this. You see all of these murtis in the Koshtams, right? So several murtis are there. We just saw Dr. R.K. Rajarajan talk about this Tandava Shiva here. There is Harihara here. There is Uma Sahit. This is Rishabhantika, Ardhanari. This is Ganesha. This is Kala Samhara Murti. And, all of these sculptures are there. There is Dakshinamurti. All of these sculptures are there, but you rarely see Jalandhara Samhara in any of these sculptures. So that is another puzzle. Why did the later sculptors not feature Jalandhara? If there are any in some temple, please do let me know. I'd be very interested. I'd like to go visit that temple, but I have not seen it in most of the temple sites. One final shot. this is yet another Pallava temple in Kanchipuram. This is the Mukteshwara temple. So after this, perhaps introduction to Jalandhara, if you go to Mukteshwara and you see this thing, you will not be puzzled. It has, here you have Dakshinamurti seated under this banyan tree with all the rishis here. And then you go to the left, you see another Murti in yoga pose. And now you know this is not yoga Dakshinamurti, but it's Jalandhara Samhara. This is a close-up of it. And this is Jalandhara underneath him. So I hope I have thrown some light into this particular episode, and with certain unusual sculptures that are shown in the Pallava temples of Kanchipuram. So thank you once again for the opportunity, and for friends like G.S. Srinivasan, V.K. Srinivasan to give me photos, and Shankar Narayan explain the story and so on. Aravind Venkatraman and so on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sri Gopu, for making such a wonderful presentation. Though we have heard a lot about the Samharamurti forms of Shiva, this Jalandhara Samharamurti is not that common, especially that the sculptural depiction of Jalandhara Samharamurti, showing it, or that going deep into the mythology and showing that how it is very beautifully presented in the sculptures. It was very, very new, and you are opening opening our eye towards how to look into these sculptures. Thank you very much. And now this paper is open for discussion. If you have got any doubts or questions, you can just ask Mr. Gopu. I think there are some comments on that box, but if you have got any questions, please. You can read the comments, right?
Yeah, I may only see one or two comments. Thank you.
That's about appreciations about the lecture.
Yeah.
Any questions, please? Yeah.
Mr. Gopu,
Yeah.
Nageshwar Rao, good morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Sir, you were mentioning Shiva made a circle with his toe, then he made the chakra, isn't it?
Shiva
made a circle.
And he drew a circle on the either the earth or the ocean. Different, yeah.
But that representation also there in Kailasnath temple.
Yeah, that is where the picture is from. I've shown you that.
Picture is shown, isn't it? I did not see.
Yeah, yeah. It's a standing sculpture.
Exactly.
Yeah. So with his toe, with his foot lifted up.
Exactly. Thank you so much. It was very nice. Enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions, please?
Yes, Dr. Devraj has some question. Jalandhara is considered Nath Yogi. What is the question, sir?
You can unmute and ask Dr. Devraj. I think it is just a statement, may not be a question.
Okay.
So shall we move on? If there are no questions, shall we move on to the next one? Next
Ma'am,
presentation?
can I have a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Please.
So first is Mr. Gopu, thank you very much for a wonderful session. I mean, I'm new to what all you are talking, though I have heard in bits and pieces, but you know, I would say that all the listeners must be listening like a baby. Chote bachcho ko story sunate waise. So I had the question that how do one get in touch with you for your tours? Are you posting it somewhere? Because I have learned that you are keen. I'm keen to attend one of your tours.
Oh, we'll, I'll give my contact information. We can then, our Tamil Heritage Trust does a lot of things. We can take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have another question about this, the Idol Thief written by Vijay Kumar. Has any work been done with respect to these temples? Saving the idols and saving the temples, basically.
Generally, yes, but that's a very general question. I don't think we should answer that. There is a lot of things being done, and there is some danger also. But if any questions related to the specific presentation, I'd be happy to answer.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Preeta ma'am, for organizing it.
Yeah, thank you once again, Mr. Gopu. Now we shall move on to the next presentation. It is by Sri Nageshwara Rao. The presentation will be on Kalanemi and Asura and his encounter with Hanuman as gleaned from different Ramayana stories. Let me introduce Sri Nageshwar Rao. He is an heritage enthusiast and faculty, IITTM Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Sri Nageshwar Rao has PG and MPhil in archaeology and iconography, and also in German language. He has vast experience in tourism field by working as a guide, translator, and interpreter. Now over to you, sir, for your presentation.
Good morning. Namaste to all. My thanks to organizing committee and coordinates, members, and my co-speakers who are the great scholars like Dr. Satyamurthy and Dr. Kulakarni, Mr. Gopu, Mr. Babu, Dr. Suresh, Dr. Shivanagaredi, Dr. Preeta Nair, etc. Is my voice clear?
Yes, it is clear, sir.
Thank you so much. So my focus is on Kalanemi and Asura as gleaned from various Ramayanas. Who are the demons? Or Asuras, Rakshasas. Gods and demons are the twofold offsprings of Prajapati, the creator of all beings. The demons, by brute force, had dominated everything, but Devas or Suras, by their intelligence and cunning, got all under their control. So says Brahadaranya Upanishad. There is a small mention about these things in Taraka Maya War, which is mentioned in Skanda, Padma, and Brahmanda Puranas. After Devasura Sangram, churning of milk ocean, Samudra Manthan, the Amrita was denied to Daityas and Danavas. Danavas means a race descending from Kashyapa and Danu. Danu is the daughter of Daksha Prajapati. Daityas are a race descending from Kashyapa and Diti. During Devadanava Sangram war, Devas led by Indra, Asuras led by the son of Virochana, that is Kalanemi. As Amrita was denied by Devas with the help of Mohini, avatar by Vishnu during the war of Devadanava Sangram, Kalanemi was killed by Vishnu with his Sudarsana Chakra, which is beautifully shown in Angkor Wat, Cambodia. Kalanemi, son of Virochana, grandson of Prahlada, slain by Vishnu in Taraka Maya war. Kalanemi's daughter Vrinda becomes Jalandhara Asura's wife. Vrinda is a staunch devotee of Vishnu, embodiment of sacred plant Tulasi. Vrindavan is named after her. Etymologically, Kalanemi means filly of the wheel of time. It represents the time segments of the wheel of time, or Kala Chakra, means the afternoon and evening leading to sunset, period of darkness, also symbolizes Dwapara Yuga moves forward, moves towards Kali Yuga. So I'm again repeating, my focus is on Kalanemi and his association in various Ramayanas and his combat with Hanuman. Kalanemi is Maricha's son and one of the important ministers of Ravana, Dashakanta. To recall Maricha, his notable exploit in his role in kidnapping Sita in the guise of Maya golden deer, later slain by Rama. Sita was abducted, kidnapped by Ravana, deceitfully from Panchavati in the absence of Rama and Lakshmana. Kalanemi's story is not mentioned, please remember, Kalanemi's story is not mentioned in the original Valmiki Ramayana and Kamba Ramayana, but included in many works like Tulsidas Ramachandra Manas, its adaptation in Adhyatma Ramayana and in various Western, Bengali and Telugu adaptations. A small note about Adhyatma Ramayana. It is basically a philosophical work, transcendental work relating to Atman, soul. It says here Rama as a Nirguna Brahman. The author of this Adhyanta Rama is Veda Vyasa, wrote in 7 kandas. 7th one is Uttarakanda, describes banishment of Sita, birth of Lava and Kusha, Rama's departure from earth to Vaikuntha. An interesting subchapter describes a conversation between Lakshmana and Sri Rama, a great philosophical work called Rama Gita. The subtle difference between Valmiki's Ramayana and Vedavyasa's Adhyanta Ramayana. Valmiki portrays Rama as an ideal person, ideal king, whereas Vedavyasa, in his Adhyanta Ramayana, he portrays Sri Rama as the incarnation of Parabrahman, Nirguna Brahman. So Kalanemi's episode in Ramayana is written in few Telugu texts like Samira Kumara Vijayamu, written by Pushpagiri Timmanna. Here, Hanuman is glorified by his heroic exploits and his magical power. Kalanemi was mentioned in Ranganatha Ramayana. It is a Dvipada, and also in Bhaskara Ramayana by Bhaskara, Mulla Ramayana by Atukuri Mulla, etc. Ranganatha Ramayana was composed in 17,290 couplets in Dvipada meter. This meter is lyrical and can either be recited like the Valmiki Ramayana, which is written in Anustupa meter, or sung like the Ramacharita written in Doha Chaupai. There is a Telugu proverb which is popular called Kalanemi Japam or Kalanemi penance, which means the falsehood penance, hypocrisy, is still in vogue usage in many parts of AP. This is drawn from the story of Kalanemi, demon, who created an illusory hermitage, illusory ashram, and conducts himself as doing penance when Hanuman approaches him. When Lakshmana lost consciousness due to the Shakti arrow shot by Indrajit in the battlefield, the royal physician Sushena asked Hanuman to rush to Dronagiri hills and fetch 4 important medicinal herbs, namely Mrita Sanjeevani, restorer of life; Vishalya Karini, remover of arrows; Sandana Karini, restorer of the skin; and Savarnya Karini, restorer of skin. As he could not identify the specific herb in the Dronagiri, he approached the whole hill and brings it back in time to save Lakshmana. So en route to Dronagiri, something happened. As advised by Ravana, Kalanemi, who was the trusted minister of Ravana, to create obstacles and delay in reaching Dronagiri, she created an illusory hermitage, ashram, in guise of an ascetic doing penance, acting penance. Hanuman, en route, felt thirsty. Kalanemi offered him the water from his kamandalu and asked Hanuman to refresh. Hanuman declined his offer. Kalanemi then directed him to a lake, abode of a crocodile, Makari, thinking that Hanuman would be killed by this Makari crocodile. While Hanuman drinking the water, the Makari caught hold with its powerful jaws and swallowed Hanuman. Hanuman comes out and kills it. Then Makari turns out to be a beautiful celestial Apsara whose name is Dhyanamali after her Shapa Vimochana. The story of Dhyanamali Apsara is as follows. She was given a Vimana, a celestial chariot, by Shiva. The sage Sandalya saw her beauty and decided to mate with her. She then humbly declined for 3 days as she was in periods. Then Ravana, who is mentioned as Dashagriva, ravished her forcefully, resulted in birth of a male child called Atikaya, who was taken away by Ravana. Once Shiva got impressed by Atikaya, he taught all the secrets of archery to him, which is mentioned in the Adhyatma Ramayana. The Sandilya sage, upon learning this, he cursed both Ravana and Dhyanamali. Because of the curse, Dhyanamali Apsara remained as a crocodile in the lake. Due to Hanuman, she was relieved of her curse, Shapa Vimochana. The story is almost parallel to the episode of Ahalya, who was turned into a stone in the forest due to the curse by her husband Gautama, as she was molested by Indra. In both the cases, Dhyanamali and Ahalya were beautiful and faithful women, chaste women to their husbands, respectively. In both cases, they were victimized and cursed for no fault of their own, but due to the desires of the powerful male characters. The Makari warns Hanuman that Kalanemi is an Asura in the guise of an ascetic who is a false state. When Hanuman went back to hermitage ashram, Kalanemi asked Hanuman for the Guru Dakshana. Hanuman attacks him. Kalanemi changed human form into bird, lion, Sugriva, and finally assumed a form of a mythological animal that had 100 horns called Shatashringi. But ultimately, he was killed in the hands of Hanuman, which mostly narrates in Ranganatha Ramayana. Afterwards, Hanuman proceeds to Dronagiri to get the medicinal herbs to revive Lakshmana. This is the basic story. Now I'm going to show you some of the pictorial relief sculptures, mostly in Srirangam, Taramangalam, and Ahobilam, etc. Please wait for a moment. Please wait for a second. Thank you. Can you see this?
Yes, yes, we can see.
Okay, very good. So this is my background. Hanuman in front of Kalanemi, who is in the guise of a Rishi, sage, mendicant. This is in Cambodia, in Angkor Wat. You can see Vishnu with his Sudarsana Chakra killing Kalanemi. So this is in Srirangam, in Sechalaya Mandapa, about 16th century Vijayanagara times. You can see Hanuman with Anjali Hasta in front of Kalanemi, who is in the guise of a sage. He is showing his index finger up under a tree, and always Kalanemi associated with a kamandalo. So this is also an interesting story of Kalanemi in the same Sesharaya Mandapam of Srirangam. Hanuman is shown as emerging from the stomach of a crocodile with a sword and a dagger in his raised right hand, while his left hand is resting on his waist in Katikasta. He wears ear ornaments, necklaces with beads and udarabandha. He is adorned with kankanas at his wrist and ornaments above his elbows. Here he wears a special type of dress called ardhoruka. Ardhoruka means a langoti type of dryer. This was a short strip of cloth worn around the waist with an attached piece from the center of the waist, which was drawn up between the legs and tucked behind. So Adhoruka is tied at his waist, and Hanuman turns his face the right towards where a female figure with her hands in Anjali Mudra. She is adequately adorned with usual ornaments. So the ear ornaments are large and circular in shape, called Vritta Kundalas. The folds of the sari that covers her lower body shows the volumes of the drapery. She wears a tilaka mark on her forehead between her eyes, and her hair is decorated with beaded chains. The crocodile is carved very realistically with its face touching the ground that turns to the right. The animal Makari carved with the winding curls of the tail, scaly skin, and mouth open slightly displayed the sharp teeth. This Makari is Dhyanamali Apsara. Almost similar figure is depicted on the pillar panel in Kailasanatha temple in Taramangalam. In this relief sculpture, the female figure Apsara is not shown. And Hanuman is shown with his right hand raised and fist closed and looking upwards towards the sky by placing his left hand on his thigh, Katihasta. The narrow end of the tail of the animal goes slightly above the rectangular frame of the shaft of the pillar. The mouth of the animal is open and it shows the teeth prominently. This sculpture suggests the death of the crocodile, from which rises the woman called Makari, who addresses Hanuman from the sky, revealing her name as Dhyanamali. Therefore, Hanuman is being surprised with this, raises his head up and engages himself in conversation with Dhyanamali. So this is also from Tirangam. After realizing the truth, the sage Kalanemi Asura, Hanuman holds the jata of Kalanemi and right hand raised to beat him, also from Sesharaya Mandapam in Srirangam. In fact, all the three in one pillar. Here you can see Hanuman is not fully shown in Anjali Hasta in front of Kalanemi. And here Hanuman is in the stomach of Makari, Dhyanamali, and is right after the Shapa Vimochana turned in the form of Apsara, Dhyanamali with Anjali Mudra in front of Hanuman. And later Hanuman came to know the sage is none other than Kalanemi Asura, who came here to obstruct his way towards Dronagiri. He is holding the jatas of Kalanemi and about to slap him by raising his hand. So all the three scenes in one pillar at Sesha Raya Mandapam, Srirangam. So this is a pillar panel in Tadipatri. Hold on, wait for a while.
Sir, your voice is not clear.
Okay, coming. One second. So this is a pillar panel. Hanuman is standing with Anjali Hasta in front of the Ashati Kalane Masura, that is in Tadipatri. And you can see Hanuman's tail is tall, long, and Kalanemi in the form of ascetic, standing or sitting in Padmasana on an elevated pedestal. One second, wait. So Hanuman's tail has raised high above his head, and the tail is curled down. Karanemi in the case of an ascetic, seated in Padmasana on an elevated pita, with right hand close to his chest. In Chin Mudra posture, while the left hand is placed on its lap, with palm open and facing the sky. His long jatas are bundled neatly tied above his head. He wears beaded necklaces around his neck, and his hands are also adorned with ornaments like bujavalayas, keyuras, and kankanas. The head of the sage is partly tilted, suggesting he is engaged in conversation with Hanuman. This is from a famous temple of Vijayanagara period called Chintala Venkataramana temple at Tadipatri. Here, Hanuman is in aggressive mood and in the act of holding the jatas of Kalanemi with his left hand and the right hand raised high and palm closed tightly. His left leg is placed forward and right leg backwards, and both the legs are bent and at the knee. Karanemi is displaced from his pita, and he places both his legs on the floor to support himself when he is dragged away by Hanuman, who holds him by his hair. Often, as and when we see Kalanemi, a Kamandalu water pot is shown on the floor to the right of Kalanemi. These two relief sculptures showcase two important stages of Hanuman's encounter with Kalanemi, and viewers can immediately recollect the entire legend by looking at them. The first relief shows the figure of Asura in the case of mendicant, deeply involved in the false meditation when he was approached by Hanuman, who considered him as a sage in the hermitage and requested him to direct him to any waterway in the immediate surroundings. This next picture, which is a continuation of the same legend, is carved with the same figure in different attitudes and poses. It demonstrates almost the final stage of the episode here in this temple in a monoscenic mode that narrates how Hanuman got enraged at Kalanemi for obstructing his journey to Dronagiri and fighting with him. So this is at Narasimha Swami temple at Ahobilam, Hanuman standing on Makari. Left side is original sculpture, right side is line drawing. Sorry. In this relief, the female figure, Apsara, is not shown. No, sorry. In this Narasimha temple, Ahobilam, it is noticed a figure of Hanuman standing on the back of the crocodile Makari, holding its jaws with his left hand, and right hand holds a branch of a plant that rests on his right shoulder. His tail shown on the left rises high above his head and encircles him. The crocodile below his feet is beautifully carved with its head raised and mouth opened broadly. Hanuman is shown with a simian face, like something like an ape, something like an ape, and human body, and he is adequately adorned with various kinds of ornaments. This sculpture indicates the final stage of narrative of the Shapa Vimochan of Makkarai by Hanuman, mentioned in the Ramayana, written in Telugu language. As the crocodile is shown below the feet of Hanuman, it suggests the end of the episode, although the figure of Janamali is not shown here. Sorry. So here the relief sculpture is fully damaged. Narasimha Swami temple, Ahobilam. So this is in fact inside the Gopura wall of the Ahobilam temple, carved figure of Hanuman attacking the demon Kalanemi, who is shown as trying to run away from the clutches of the Hanuman, as the latter holds him tightly by his long hair. Kalanemi holds a water pot in his left hand and wears Ardhoruka garment and is portrayed as an ascetic. A curved sword is shown on the down. Hanuman raises his right hand high, which is poised to deliver a slap on the demon. The mouth of the Hanuman is widely open, and he arrests the progress of the running of the demon with his raised left leg as he attacks Kalanemi. A long garland that touches his knees, an udarabandha on his chest, and two necklaces adorn the body. The long winding tail rises above high over his head. So this is another temple called Kodandarama temple in Ontipitta. So here, Asura Kalanemi is shown in the false guise of an ascetic seated on an elevated pita under a tree with Chinmudra in his right hand and water pot on his left hand. His jatas are shown as spread on his shoulders. On his right stands Hanuman with the face of a monkey and human body, and both hands folded in Anjali Hasta. He wears, as usual, ornaments on his body, and his tail is curved, and rises above. His body is lowered a little bit, humble manner, as his knees are slightly bent, and he looks towards the stage. Just behind the standing figure of Hanuman is a carved tree, and its branches are shown above his head, suggest it is a forest environment. Here, Hanuman and Kalanemi being a Kamarupa, he takes different forms, like a bird, lion, and then Kalanemi here, he is falling down in human form. So here, Kalanemi, as he is now aware of the fact that the sage in the hermitage is none other than Kalanemi, Hanuman came to know, and he was sent by Ravana to create obstacles and cause delay in bringing Sanjeevani herb to rescue Lakshmana. Kalanemi, in his encounter with Hanuman, has quickly changed his forms as a bird, lion, Sugriva, and a mythological being called Chatushranga with 100 horns to defend himself as well as to kill Hanuman with his magical powers. All Ramayana in Telugu mentioned these different forms almost alike, assumed magically by Kalanemi, and true to the textual narrative of all different stages in combat between Hanuman and Kalanemi are illustrated other sculptures in Rama temple, Ontimitta. But nowhere the Chatusranga or the mythical being with 100 horns is shown. Here, Hanuman and Kalanemi in the form of Sugriva and lion. Here, in this panel, the figures of both lion as well as Sugriva in front of Hanuman, whose iconography remains the same, is that of the earlier panels. The inclusion of the lion from along with that of Sugriva here is indicative of the deceitful, cheating nature of the demon, as he realized that he could not kill Hanuman either in the form of a bird or lion. At least he could pacify Hanuman and dissuade him and convince him that there was no need for Hanuman to go to Dronagiri. So in this reason, Kalanemi, with his magical powers, assumed the form of Sugriva to stop Hanuman to go to Dronagiri. So to enable the viewers to visualize these intricacies of the story, the sculptor has shown the figure of Sugriva behind a small size lion facing the figure of Hanuman. His long winding tail is shown with the end above his head. He is adequately adorned with usual ornaments. But some of these panels are very, very badly damaged. That's why I'm showing here line drawing. But regarding the Shatrunga is not shown anywhere. And this is the Kambar Mandapa in Srirangam. No reference of Kalanemi episode mentioned in Kamba Ramayana. But there is a mandapam in Srirangam called Kamba Mandapam or Kamba Ramayana Mandapam, where Kambar recited Ramayana for the first time. Kambar is the contemporary of Kulothunga Chola III of 12th century. Kambar grew up in Chola Empire under the reign of Kulothunga III. Kulothunga, having heard of his talented bond, he summoned Kambar to his court and honored with the title of Kavi Chakravarti, the emperor of poets. So Kulothunga III built the famous Sharabeshwara Kamsakareshwara temple at Tribhuvanam near Kumbakonam. And the last one, as Lakshmana was brutally hurt and senseless as Indrajit wielded Shakti weapon, the royal physician Sushena asked Hanuman to rush to Dronagiri to fetch 4 important medicinal herbs. As he could not identify the specific herb, he uproots the whole Dronagiri hill and brings it back in time to save Lakshmana. Next. Thank you so much. With this, my presentation ends. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sri Nageshwar Rao, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have presented or that showed many sculptures which are not that popular and very beautifully presented the story behind that.
Thank you.
And I was just wondering that this Palanemi is always presented without any demonic features, no? Always as an
Yes.
ascetic.
Yes.
So for identification, it would be slightly difficult, right? Sir?
For identification, only from the stories of Ramayana in Telugu. And always he is identified carrying a kamandalo, and it's in the form of a mendicant, ascetic.
Yes. And nowhere else he is presented as a demonic, like transforming from
Only transforming only, nowhere else. Only in Angkor Wat he is shown. Angkor Wat is this is from other Vishnu Purana, nothing to do our Ramayana. Angkor Wat already shown. You want to see it again? Angkor Wat, show me that. Can you?
Okay, we will be delighted to see that.
Wait, hold on. My son is doing. First one.
So there also that it is based on Ramayana or that.
No. This is nothing to do which Ramayana. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe no, madam. I'm telling you again. In Kamba Ramayana and Valmiki Ramayana, no mention of Kalanemi.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Only in the Telugu Ramayanas and some other parts of India. And this is Taraka Maya War, which is mentioned in Skanda Purana, Padma Purana, Brahmanda Purana. Here you can see Vishnu. He is
it's not visible actually. Sir, not visible. You have to share the screen.
Oh, sorry.
Let me see whether we can play it from our side.
You have. Yes, please see.
Okay.
Thank you so much. My son has come here to operate on my behalf.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, I think we can also find this type of figures even at Penugonda.
Oh, you mean Kalanemi?
Yeah. Which is in the period of 16th century.
Yes.
Because I already have expressed the same figures in Chintala Venkatramana Swami temple at Tadpatri. That was
also.
That was under the period of Krishnadevaraya.
Yes.
The same Ramayana was already exhibited even at Penugonda also. Almost that is a replica of Hampi.
Yes.
We can also find this Kalanini figure even at Penugonda also, sir.
How it looks there?
Pardon, I didn't get you.
No, is he in the form of a demon?
Yeah. No, not demon, like this only. What
ascetic.
Yeah, yes.
Dr. Nair, this is the story I am telling. It is in the Tarakamaya War. And Vishnu, with his Sudarshan Chakra, he is killing Kalanemi and Surya and Chandra. Surprisingly, here in this scene, Ravana also shown.
Who is the figure which is shown below Vishnu? Like a monkey? Is it Hanuman?
Yeah, I don't think he looks like Hanuman. There are so many, characters are together here.
Oh, so the story may be slightly different, right?
Yeah, definitely different from the other Puranas.
So how do we identify this as Kalanemi?
As mentioned, as labeled there. I've been there twice, Angkor Wat.
Oh,
Label is there.
label is there. Okay,
Yeah,
sir. Thank you.
thank you.
Now, are there any more questions? You can ask the question.
Sir,
Yes, Dr. Nand.
in this figure, we are getting confusion, which is Ravana and which is Kalaneni.
This is Ravana, this is Kalanemi, already names are there. Here is Vishnu, he is wielding Sudarshan Chakra. Vishnu here shown with his sword called Nandaka.
And the number of heads in the case of Ravana, you can see more than one heads,
Yeah.
one over the other.
Yeah.
This is the one and only place where Kalanemi is shown in a demonic form.
But bottom of that one, whether it comes as a Hanuman, sir, is it
Yes,
Hanuman?
he looks like Hanuman only, who is flying here.
I want to make a comment here, Rao sir.
Please, go ahead.
This is Chaitanya Sathe.
Okay.
Sir, if you could see, there are plenty of demons with several heads of animals behind the Ravan, as well as, so most probably they are subjugated demons during the war. So basically they are killed, because you can see one demon fallen at the feet of Ravan as well as at the feet of Vishnu. And you can see two demons holding a shield and swords in their hands, two demons with animal face, similar faces. That's all.
Okay,
So most probably it is war. That is the one thing I wanted to comment. So most probably it is a killed at the war, a demon killed at the war.
Okay, yeah, perhaps yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one more thing, sir, I wanted to know that in the panels, Kalanemi is somewhere around near the lion sculpture.
Yeah, he is Kamarupa,
Right?
yes, Kamarupa.
Yes. So I could remember there is one reference of he's being riding on a lion in Skandapuran.
Yes.
So is it his mount or somewhere he related to lion, or he has some iconographic representations with the Rahu? Because if you could see in Southeast Asia, Rahu seems to be quite popular demon there. And he's also associated, or his mount is also considered to be lion. So is there any, what you can say, the reflections of Kalanemi with Rahu or his association with lion or something of that sort?
I don't think.
Probability is there.
And see, my focus is only Kalanemi as an Asura as gleaned from various Ramayanas. As I found in this picture, Kalanemi also there. First time I found him as a demon, I showed this. But this is from Skanda, Padma, and Brahmana Purana. But this is not my area of operation. That is not my presentation today.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Excellent.
Okay, any more questions? There is one question in the chat box. Sir, do these gods are seen in all traditions with the same symbols attributed to them?
Which gods?
Gods, it is written like, sir, do these gods are seen? You want to know which gods, right?
This is Vishnu.
It's Vishnu, I think.
This is Vishnu. Vishnu is recognized by his chakra and his Nandaka sword. That is what it is labeled there in Angkor Wat. Could you please repeat your question again?
It was in the chat box. I think it is, he mentioned about Vishnu because he is the only one presented here, no?
See, nowhere in my presentation I showed any god except Hanuman and Kalanemi. You got my point?
Yes, it was from Dr. Devraj. I think he heard your answer. I suppose that he was mentioning about the Vishnu, and Vishnu, as Nagesh Rao said, he's identified by the chakra and the sword. Yeah. Chandra Surya, he was asking. Oh, that he was asking about Chandra and Surya on both sides.
Yes, you are right.
Yes, maybe that they are.
Here mentioned the name Chandra and Surya.
As Surya. Surya will be identified with the lotuses, but
see, in Angkor Wat, most of the pictures are really
whether in the any Ramayana that Vishnu has fought with Kalanemi, sir?
No, yes, Vishnu fought with Kalanemi mentioned only in Skanda Purana, Padma Purana, Brahmanda Purana. The war is called Taraka Maya war. But anyway, I'm telling you that is not my area. My subject is.
Yeah.
Okay.
No issues.
But it is a good information. We will look into that. If at all we find any sculptures like this one, we can go to that the text mentioned by Sri Nageswara Rao ji, so that we can identify. Okay, that was a very good information. And if there are no questions more, shall we wind up?
Sir, you have given an excellent information, and definitely it will be useful even to the next generations to think about this one, and even archaeological people and the other students of archaeological students can definitely focus on this one, and they will limelight once again the demons, whatever that you have expressed today. Excellent.
My humble thanks, sir.
That is very true, actually. And we shall wind up for the morning session with the presentation of Sri Nageswara Rao. And we wish to express our thanks to all the speakers and the delegates for making this morning session very vibrant. Thank you very much once again.
Ma'am, I need Keshav Rajarajan contact number and his email. I didn't get that.
Yeah, I put that in the chat box. You can just see that in the chat box.
And the new person, actually, I joined in this one with my friends. Intimation only. I joined in this one. I didn't have any idea about this. Can you please share?
Okay.
Or otherwise, I would like to give my contact number to your good offices.
Can you write down? Then I'll give you the contact number.
898.
Just 1 second. Please repeat.
898.
898.
555.
555 3 5s, no?
Yeah.
Yes.
000 triple zeros.
0 0.
0.
Yes.
7.
7. Shall I repeat? 898 555 0007.
Yeah, I'm Dr. G.S. Ramaya.
Dr. J.
G.
G.S.
Ramaya.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll share.
Thank you, ma'am. Namaste.
Okay, then. So we will meet again at 2:30 for the second session, academic session, after a short break for the lunch. Thank you very much.